on the computer. Gonna wait 1 minute 25 seconds. Now 1 minute. Gonna wait 1 minute 25 seconds. We have Ja Morant gameplay. Memphis Grizzlies. It'll be awesome. So 1 minute 25 seconds, I'll begin. Alright, so now 1 minute 25 seconds. Welcome to Victory Yay. Welcome to my live stream. Today I have 107 overall. Ja Morant. Jetsetters promo. Memphis Grizzly. So I have around 30,871 points. And I'm going to select Ja Morant. He is the lockdown defensive lineup. And we're going to pick Ja Morant, but let's look at his stats first. He has athleticism, 102. Inside scoring, 104. Outside scoring, 102. He's 6 feet, 3 inches height, and he's a Jet Setter USA player. He gives an active boost, +1 speed to team, +1 speed to boost. His 3-point shot is 100. His dunking is 106. His layup was 105. And that's their stats right there. So I'll pick him. Improves my lockdown lineup defense. Thank you for coming. I'm still talking right now, but I'm going to check to see who came. Thank you for that 1 heart. Now let's put him in my Jet Setters promo lineup. There's 4 hours left of the Jet Setter promo. I have a Chamberlain. So I have only a 94 overall, but I haven't been playing as much. And I'm going to get Memphis Grizzlies jerseys. Thank you for coming. I have to check later to see who came. Do I have some Memphis Grizzlies jerseys? Looks like I do not. Unfortunately. Do I have anything close enough to that jersey? No, I do not have that jersey. So I'm going to pick just any jersey that is here. Atlanta Hawks, Miami Heat. Let's get into gameplay. I have around 500 stamina. And let's hurry up to see who. So Ja Morant to finish up the campaign. Thank you for coming, and I'm gonna check to see who came, of course. So we have Atlanta Hawk jerseys. So first shot, I slam, get in the layup. Nice scoring with contact. Let's autoplay it. Thank you for 3 people that came. I appreciate it. Hello, thank you for coming. NBA gameplay, hello, thank you for coming. Aggressive Dot Gaming. Aggressive Dot Productions, hello, thank you for coming. How are you doing? I see a Memphis Grizzly jersey. Oh, I didn't see it, so I forgot to see it. So Ja Morant has some dunk animations. That's pretty nice. Shot blocked. We block Anthony Davis. You hear LeBron James with a slam dunk. Thank you for coming. Appreciate the support. We're in the Drew League. So you can dunk. Now let's try a 3-point shot. It's pretty good. I probably could have waited and get another 108 overall card, but I did not do that. So Ja Morant to Leonard's Meyer. gonna get assists now. Ja Morant to Gary, 4 balls. What a shot. Now, of course, of every live stream, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the player. So Ja Morant was born in 1999. So right now he is 21 years old. So very young. And just won Rookie of the Year. As he played really well his rookie season. He almost made the playoffs as an 8 seed in the West. But they had to play that one game to make it into the playoffs, but they lost to the Portland Trail Blazers. They lost to Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic. And that's actually a veteran team, the Portland Trail Blazers. So it was no surprise that they lost. So Ja Morant goes in. This card actually has dunk animations, but misses that dunk. So tomorrow there's going to be a new promo. This promo is going to end in 4 hours. So, excited for that. Slam dunk, Ja Morant. Slam dunk. Avery Bradley with the ball. Hello. Broly, hello, thank you for coming. You say Rajon Rondo, LeBron James, Dwight Howard, J.R. Smith, Anthony Davis. If the Lakers play this lineup against the Nuggets, yeah, that's a pretty good lineup. That's a pretty good lineup. I do think the Lakers will win the series against the Denver Nuggets because they have LeBron James. So I think the Lakers are the favorite to win that series and also to win the NBA championship. So thank you for coming, Broly. Thank you for coming. I would say the Lakers right now are number one, the most favorite to win the series. Now let's talk a little bit more about Ja Morant. He went to Murray State University. So Murray State University, in terms of college basketball, is not a very famous university, which means that Ja Morant in high school was not heavily recruited. So he was quite underrated. People did not know much about him. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't be playing for Murray State. He'd be playing at Duke University, or he would be playing at North Carolina Tar Heels. Murray State University is in Kentucky. No problem. Yeah, and thank you for the support. Just wondering, what state or country are you from? What state or country are you from? I like to ask that to everyone to see who comes to my live streams. So we're going to go and play a little bit more. Right now, I have, how many points do I have? I have 3,000 points. So I'm going to get some stamina right now. So, of course, in the 2019 NBA draft, Ja Morant was a second overall pick, drafted by the Memphis Grizzlies. The first overall pick, of course, was Zion Williamson, who was drafted by the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, a lot of people are going to debate over the years who's the better overall player. And we will see, of course, who will be the best overall player in a couple of years. Will it be Ja Morant or will it be Zion Williamson? Zion Williamson is a very injury-prone player. So, of course, we don't know for sure. Now, Ja Morant had an amazing rookie season, but we don't know what the future holds. Sometimes players have amazing rookie seasons, and then the rest of their career is not that great. So, off the top of my head, I have some examples. Tyreek Evans, Sacramento Kings, a couple years ago, had an amazing rookie season. But after his rookie season, he's not that great anymore. Another player would be Emeka Okafor. Charlotte Bobcats had an amazing rookie season, but his entire career was not that great. And Dwight Howard from the same draft, the 2004 NBA draft. Dwight Howard is actually a better overall player and a better career than Emeka Okafor. So there's a lot of times. Remember that Rookie of the Year is only for that 1 year, and we don't know for sure that just because you win Rookie of the Year doesn't mean that you're going to have the better career. Another player, Damon Stoudemire from the Toronto Raptors. He's 5'11". He won Rookie of the Year, had a great Rookie of the Year, but hasn't done, in terms of his whole career, was not that great. Absolute Brad, hello, thank you for coming, and no problem. Thank you for coming. So Ja Morant, now we have to shoot threes. 3-point shot. Bang. Now, Ja Morant, coming into the draft in 2019, he was compared to Russell Westbrook. So, that means he has great athleticism. He's a great athlete, but he's not the best shooter. So, he's not the best 3-point shooter. But he makes this shot right here in the game. Just like Russell Westbrook, he's not the best 3-point shooter. He's not the best shooter, but he's a great athlete, great athleticism. So Ja Morant and Russell Westbrook have many similarities. Now, in this era of the NBA with a 3-point shooting era dominated by Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and also James Harden and many other players, I'm not so sure that's a good thing or not. If you're compared to Russell Westbrook, I assume though, because Ja Morant is younger, much younger. He's much younger than Westbrook. So I do think that he's a better shooter, Ja Morant, and I also think that he's going to improve his 3-point shooting. I'm not sure in this in 2020. I'm not sure in this time that being compared to Russell Westbrook is a good thing. Let's shoot more 3-pointers. So we're in the Drew League. No excuse. They say that in the court. Just produce. So check out thedrewleague.com. And if you have Twitter, hashtag the Drew League. Nike sign, swoosh. So we're doing our daily live streams talking about Ja Morant. I could have got Gordon Dragic, who has played really well for the Miami Heat tonight. Speaking of the Miami Heat tonight, surprisingly, they won Game 2 against the Boston Celtics. And Jimmy Butler had a really great game. And Gordon Dragic had a really great game. So they're the surprise of the bubble. Surprise of the NBA. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is having an amazing year. Now, I've noticed something, especially on Twitter, Jimmy Butler trending tonight. I know something, and is that a lot of people definitely react in the moment. So, because Jimmy Butler has played really well in these playoffs, people are now saying how amazing Jimmy Butler is and how incredible he is, and not re-signing Jimmy Butler. But remember, that's all in hindsight. So nobody predicted, nobody believed in Jimmy Butler. I would say no NBA expert, nobody on ESPN, nobody on TNT, no fan. Nobody predicted Jimmy Butler would have such an amazing season, such an amazing impact in the NBA. Nobody would have predicted this when the Miami Heat signed him. Because if you think about it, many teams could have signed Jimmy Butler in the offseason. This is including the Los Angeles Lakers. They could have signed Jimmy Butler. The Los Angeles Clippers could have signed Jimmy Butler. The Toronto Raptors, I believe, also had the cap space to sign Jimmy Butler. And of course, the Philadelphia 76ers could have re-signed Jimmy Butler. I'm not surprised the Heat won. Hello, DTW the Baller. Hello, thank you for coming. I'm not surprised the Heat won. Jimmy has always been good, but not the right team was built around him with D Rose. Yes, and Jimmy Butler has always been very consistent and a very great player. But it looks like this team is just fits him really well. So yes, he's been playing really well. What I fear though is that it looks like it's going to be pretty easy for the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James to win the championship. Because I don't think the Lakers are going to lose to the Denver Nuggets. And also, if they face the Miami Heat, I don't think LeBron James is going to lose to Miami Heat team. led by Jimmy Butler. I don't see that happening. Now, it must be said that a lot of people, they're kind of very, a lot of people react in the moment, which I kind of dislike. I see some people on Twitter and other places, they say that Jimmy Butler is better than Paul George. Or they say Jimmy Butler is better than Kawhi Leonard. And I don't believe that's true. Even though Paul George had a disappointing playoff run, I still don't believe that he's better than Paul George. And he's definitely not better than Kawhi Leonard. The real team to worry about for next 2 seasons are the Clippers. They need Mo Harkless and the Celtics once they get Gordon Hayward. Yes, that's definitely true. A lot of teams like the Boston Celtics, like the Los Angeles Clippers, they're not entirely healthy. They have some missing players. So, I think the Los Angeles Clippers, you keep Kawhi Leonard and Paul George there. They'll get better season 2. So, they're still there. Don't break up that team. I would even keep Doc Rivers. I'll keep him as the head coach. I think their team is still very talented. And then, of course, the Boston Celtics, if you have a healthy Gordon Hayward, that will help them a lot. Now, I still think that if Gordon Hayward, I don't think he's that great of a player. So if Gordon Hayward, for example, was healthy and the Boston Celtics make it to the NBA Finals and they play the Lakers, LeBron James, I still think that LeBron James is unstoppable. I still think that. Heat and Lakers proved me wrong. And it's probably going to be the Lakers and Denver Nuggets. I mean, the Lakers and Miami Heat. We will see if anybody could challenge the Lakers. Now, Lakers, their team's not that great. That's the truth. But what makes them scary is LeBron James. That's what makes them scary. If LeBron James wasn't there, and it was just Anthony Davis, I would say that team, the Laker team, is not even a playoff team. I think they'll miss the playoffs. Kawhi needed a legit point guard, not a shooting guard. Gordon Hayward isn't that good, but he's scared to play since he got severely injured twice. And yes, Gordon Hayward got injured a lot, so he has his injury problems, Gordon Hayward. I don't know though. So we will see if anybody could challenge the Lakers. It looks like it's the Lakers' year, and it looks like a very easy win for LeBron James right now, though, because I still don't think they lose to the Miami Heat. The Lakers are just way more talented, and LeBron James also has Anthony Davis, and but anyways, roster-wise, the Lakers have the best team in the NBA after the Clippers lost. So, roster-wise, on paper, they have the best team. Now, of course, they actually have to play the games. So, but if Miami Heat defeat the Lakers, it's definitely an upset. Yep. Patrick Beverly is pretty good lockdown defender, though. For sure, absolute brag. Yeah, Patrick Beverly, a great defender. Now, let's talk about Jimmy Butler a little bit. Jimmy Butler, I've talked about him before in the live stream. Today they had all NBA teams come out. I've said many times Jimmy Butler is not even a top 5 NBA player in the NBA. And the all NBA team proves me right. Because the all NBA first team was released today. Also the second team and the third team. But all NBA first team at point guard would be Luka Doncic. Shooting guard, James Harden. Small forward, LeBron James. Power forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And at center will be Anthony Davis. Even though Anthony Davis plays power forward, to make it all fit, they put him like that. Now, Jimmy Butler, he made it to an all-NBA team, but he made it to an all-NBA third team. So Jimmy Butler is on all-NBA third team, along with Jason Tatum, Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons, and Russell Westbrook. I don't know how Ben Simmons and Russell Westbrook made it into the all-NBA third team because they did not have great seasons. And then second team all-NBA is Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Nikola Jokic, Damian Lillard, and Chris Paul. And for the most part, I agree with pretty much all of this. Also, Jimmy Butler this is the third time he has made all-NBA third team. He also made it a couple years ago with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Chicago Bulls. So Jimmy Butler, incredibly underrated player. But in my opinion, he is not a top 5 NBA player. Yeah, and it's debatable if he is a top 10 NBA player. Hello, InfoSpot411. Thank you for coming. How are you doing tonight? I don't agree with this year's All-NBA first team. Kenneth Awesome. Hello, thank you for coming. How are you doing? Luka is only good because team... Michael Jordan, thank you for coming. His team is not good. Well, it's hard to pick against Luka. As his team he's had a pretty great season. And it's only his second year, so it's really hard to not pick him there. And you could also say Anthony Davis. You could debate whether he should be All-NBA first team. But he's always pretty consistent as well. Ja Morant. Hard saying Kobe was only good because he had a bad team. Jimmy Butler is better in defense than LeBron. Facts. And yes, Jimmy Butler probably is better at defense as he's always been a great defensive player. And LeBron's older now. But if you see LeBron James against the Houston Rockets, he kept blocking Russell Westbrook. So LeBron at any moment can take over a game, even though he's 35 years old. And that's the scary part of LeBron James. As was similar to Michael Jordan. Sometimes it feels like these teams, it doesn't even matter in the moment whether they win in the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals or not. They're probably going to eventually lose to LeBron James. As teams back then lost to Michael Jordan. It definitely feels like this. And if I'm LeBron James tonight, after the Clippers lost, I'm very happy. Good going to bed shortly, but I'll leave my computer on I'll leave the sound on. Windows doesn't Thank you, InfoSpot 411. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. His only shooter is the third tallest player. No one holds the ball. Remember, LeBron got dunked on by Tatum, second best dunk of all time. Yeah, so LeBron James a couple seasons ago was Jason Tatum dunked on him, Eastern Conference Finals when LeBron James was a Cleveland Cavalier. When Jason Tatum was a rookie. Now LeBron James, that year the Cleveland Cavaliers, they still went to the NBA Finals, but lost to Golden State. And thank you, InfoSpot 411. He is very good though, don't get me wrong. Yeah. So we will see how good Jimmy Butler is in the NBA Finals, if they make it to the NBA Finals. I wouldn't agree with that because LeBron James, he's still very good. And he is 35 years old. So I would not underestimate him. Now, will there be a day where he gets really old and retires? That's possible in the future. But he's still very good, LeBron James. So I would not underestimate that guy. In fact, he's quite scary, I would say. I would even go as far to say that Denver Nuggets, you're really happy right now, making it to the Western Conference Finals. Miami Heat, you're really happy. But there was a lot of teams back then. They made it to the Western Conference Finals, but then they lose in the NBA Finals. So at the end of the day, it's all about the championship. So I would not be so happy about making it to the Western Conference Finals. You still have to win. And LeBron James, it's very easy for him to win right now, in my opinion. There's no Golden State team out there. Because of the Miami Heat, as I said before, that's a small market team. Their roster is like a small market team. They're in a large market in Miami Heat and in Miami, Florida, but that's a small market team. It's a lot of role players on that team, in my opinion. So we will see. I'm rooting for the underdogs. I'm rooting for the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat and all those teams. The Boston Celtics, I don't really care too much about. I never really cared too much about the Boston Celtics. They have their stars and Jason Tatum and stuff. Rebounder, yo, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. And thank you for coming. My top 5 player in the NBA, if healthy, KD, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis, Curry. That's a very good list, and I agree with that list as well. And I understand why you put Kevin Durant number 1, because he's younger than LeBron James. And the rest is pretty good. Today is very special because it's my birthday. Okay, happy birthday, Rebounder. Happy birthday. I hope you have a great day of a celebration. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Miami Heat, 1990s Bulls. Happy birthday. Said the Miami Heat equals 1990s Bulls. I guess you could say that. But I'll say the Bulls were more talented. I'll also say that the Miami Heat, they have a major flaw to that team is that there's a lot of young players on that team, like Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, who's second year, Chris Nunn. I think that rookie inexperience will catch up to them. So I think when they play, whether they make it to the NBA Finals or not, I think the being a rookie will hurt them. And I'll use the example of Oklahoma City Thunder against the Miami Heat in like 2012. You knew that the Oklahoma City Thunder with James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, they're much younger. You knew they were going to lose to the Miami Heat because LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, they have more experience and they want to win right now at the time. So you kind of knew that they were going to lose no matter what. And they did lose. So I made it to the Philadelphia campaign. Since you're supporting the Heat and Nuggets, who do you think will win the NBA championship? So who I think will win the NBA championship? I think for sure the Los Angeles Lakers because of LeBron James. My top favorite NBA players of all time. Curry, look at Curry, man. Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum, Zion, Blake, Dikembe Mutombo, Yao Ming, Alex Caruso, Duncan Robinson, David Robinson. 90s Bulls had a bunch of role players exactly like a Hiju, and the Bulls were very young. That's an interesting comparison, for sure. DTW, the baller. My favorite top NBA players. You're okay. Happy birthday. The rebounder yesterday was my mom's birthday. Happy birthday to your mom as well. Happy birthday to your mom. Kenneth Awesome. Hot take. Curry is the greatest warrior of all time, including Will. Thanks, Kenneth. No problem. I would say that Curry probably is the greatest warrior of all time. Will Chamberlain, I think, only won one NBA championship. And he was a Laker. And that was with Jerry West. So I do not think Will Chamberlain won any championships with the Warriors. I think he won a championship with the Sixers. So, am I right? He won an NBA champion in 1967 and 1972. Yeah, he won it with the Sixers. So Curry has 3 championships, I believe. So I would say, yeah, Curry probably is the greatest Warriors of all time. But they also play very different positions. One's a point guard, the other is a center. Greatest player of all time, Alex Caruso, Matt Thomas, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, J.R. Smith. Yes, the GOATs, Alex Caruso. Will is the most dominant player of all time. Curry's not comparable to him in this case. Will won 2 titles with the Warriors, I think. Adi Furkan Fadala. Say hi to Indonesia, bro. Hello, thank you for coming. Hi to Indonesia. Yes, but he didn't win anything with us. Wilt is better than Curry, probably. Even if I'm a Warriors fan. Wilt is better than Curry. Best player of all time, Brian Scalabrine, Alex Caruso, Taco Fall, Bobo. Yeah, well, I looked it up. Will Chamberlain did not win a championship with the Golden State Warriors or the Philadelphia Warriors. He won 2 championships, one with the Philadelphia 76ers and the other with the Los Angeles Lakers. So in terms of championships, Curry actually won more with the Warriors team. But you're talking about points and stuff like that. Will Chamberlain, He averaged a ridiculous amount of points and, of course, scored 100 points in a game. By the way, Will Chamberlain scoring 100 points in a game that has no footage, so no one has recorded it on tape that I've seen. But there's a picture of him hanging the paper that says 100 points, and then there is newspaper articles and stuff like that. But I believe it has never been recorded or has been lost. That footage has been lost. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Have a great night. Have a great night. Balak, bro. Worst flight. Wilt was when the centers were dominant, but Curry's playing now where the point guards are dominant. That's very true. If you score 100 points in a game, you have to be a top 5 all-time player. A fire stream. Thank you, Michael Jordan. Have a great night. Have a great night. Tough question. Brian Scalabrine or the 1996 Chicago Bulls? I'll go to option number 1. Yes, Brian Scalabrine by himself could defeat the 1996 Bulls. It's true that I scored 100 points because the footage was so bad that time. There is some there's no footage of him scoring 100 points, but there's some clips of Will Chamberlain playing basketball for the Lakers and all that in the finals and stuff like that. But there's no footage of him scoring 100 points that has been recorded or has been lost. So nobody has seen it. So you will never see an NBA mix of or highlights of Will Chamberlain scoring 100 points. There's just people talking about it. It's also 2 different styles to play, and before the 3 was invented. The quality is a 1P. That's very true again. Different styles to play. And yes, there's no 3-point shot back then. The NBA is going towards small ball now. Yes, definitely for sure. And I think the Houston Rockets are ahead of their time. I do think that in the future, there might be a lot more teams that are more small ball. But it depends, So, like Houston Rockets, if they won the championship, then everybody will copy them. But if the Lakers win a championship and they have Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee, they still have those big men. And if Anthony Davis plays really well, then the NBA will just copy the Lakers, essentially. Copy that model. So everybody's kind of copying each other. Same thing with the Warriors. In 2015, Curry and Clay shoot a lot of threes, so everybody copied them. The recording has been gone. If somebody finds the 100 point footage, they're going to be in the Guinness World of Records. Yes, for sure. If somebody can find that footage of Will Chamberlain scoring 100 points. Man, what a day. It's my birthday. My school didn't give me so much tasks. And top it on watching Victory A stream. Thank you, Rebounder, for such a nice comment. Thank you, Rebounder. And I appreciate it. And I think you guys all know each other, but if you check out each other's channels if you don't know each other. Rebounder I made a one-on-one video with him again, playing against his team. So check out his channel, Rebounder. And then for the last 5 years, teams have been getting smaller, such as the Hornets. They no longer have taller than 6'9". Oh, that's a very interesting observation. And I didn't even know that. I didn't know that too well. The Charlotte Hornets, you say, are very short. I definitely think that small ball lineup, Houston Rockets, small ball lineup, maybe not that small, but That's definitely possible that the NBA is going to end up looking like that in the future. So DTW the Baller, I have a question for you. I'm quite interested in the 2020 NBA draft. LaMelo Ball. He is like quite tall for a point guard, and he could probably play shooting guard as well. But LaMelo Ball is 6'7". Sometimes I even see him listed as 6'8". So do you think you should draft a player like LaMelo Ball? Now another player that is also a top prospect in the draft, Anthony Edwards. He is 6'5" from Georgia. Anthony Edwards. He's supposed to be the number 1 overall pick. Now from France, Killian Hayes. He is 6'5". So you have a lot of players that are around 6'5" in this draft. They're kind of shooting guards, point guards. Cole Anthony is 6'4", almost 6'5". So would you draft a tall point guard like LaMelo? I think LaMelo, he could actually play some small forward. For the last 5 years, teams have been getting smarter such as the Hornet. It's funny how the NBA evolves. Point guards play center, and centers play point guard. And yes, that's definitely happening in the NBA today. Point guards playing center. And centers playing point guard. Most teams don't need a LaMelo Ball. No, he's a flashy player. Yeah, that's good observation. Now, just to not overrate any players, I love seeing like certain comparisons to LaMelo Ball where you don't overrate the player. So the Ringer, as I said before, they compare him. I've seen a lot of websites compare LaMelo Ball to Sean Livingston. I'm assuming that he has a better 3-point shot. LaMelo Ball probably has a better 3-point shot than Sean Livingston, but they compare it to Sean Livingston. Now, if you are going to have number 1 overall pick and you're going to draft Sean Livingston, you'd probably be quite disappointed. As you want a bigger star than Sean Livingston. But if you don't overrate the players, basically you have a Sean Livingston with a much better 3-point shot, I assume, than the actual Sean Livingston. And Sean Livingston, when he came to the NBA in 2004, he was compared to Magic Johnson, as he's a very tall point guard and also a very great passer. And then, of course, Lonzo Ball, LaMelo Ball's brother, was also compared to Magic Johnson. Usually, flashy players aren't that effective. I agree with that statement. Now, Anthony Edwards, he's also compared to many different players, but let's look at not to overhype him, let's look at some of the comparisons. Anthony Edwards, he's 6'5". He's compared to Eric Gordon, Houston Rockets. And he's also compared to Dion Waiters, who's now playing for the Lakers. Now, if you have number 1 overall pick, and you know that the player you're going to pick is going to end up like Dion Waiters or Eric Gordon, would you pick him? Now, Killian Hayes from France, lesser known player, sometimes he's called the French LaMelo Ball. He is also 6'5". He is compared to Manu Ginobili and D'Angelo Russell. So those are actually pretty good comparisons. Now, James Wiseman, who is very tall, 7 feet 1 inch. Sometimes he's compared to a Hassan Whiteside, and I'm not sure if that's a good. That's kind of like I'm not sure if I want that if I'm a team. But anyways, that's to not overhype the certain players. Certain players get overhyped. As you see with Lonzo Ball, he was compared to Magic Johnson, Jason Kidd, and he's been quite disappointing. He's still good, but he's still a good player. But you want a star, right? If you have the second overall pick, if you have the first overall pick. LaMelo Ball is not as good of a player as Sean Livingston. Oh, so you actually say LaMelo's still not as good as Sean Livingston. And Sean Livingston was a very good player, great role player from Golden State. LaMelo Ball is a great player, don't get me wrong. But I actually tried to get James Wiseman. It's important to take advantage of the small ball today. So tall James Wiseman play center. Oh, so you actually say, Rebounder says that you should actually draft James Wiseman, 7 feet 1 inch James Wiseman, and basically have a center. And that's an option that Golden State, if they have the second overall pick, they could draft a center. And if any team needs a center, they could draft the centers. But if you draft a center, it's kind of like the essentially old school NBA in the 90s, as most teams now have small ball. LaMelo Ball can't shoot effectively. He's only a 25 three-point shooter and a 45 field goal. Short center. Yes, and then LaMelo Ball, who has never played college basketball, and played played in Australia and a little bit of Lithuania. I think he's a better shooter than Lonzo Ball, but if you have to criticize LaMelo Ball, I also hear that he's not that great of a shooter. Sports Fan Center, nice. Thank you for coming. How are you doing? So tall. James Wiseman can play the center. James Wiseman is 7 feet 1 inch. But yeah, if you need a center, if you want to take advantage of the small ball lineups, you have James Wiseman here to take advantage of that. Now, if they compare him to Hassan Whiteside, then I think his defense is better than his offense. Sometimes they compare him to Rasheed Wallace, which I think Rasheed Wallace, Hassan Whiteside, I think two very different players. And then Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is compared to Patty Mills, Austin Rivers, Kemba Walker, if he's good. Kemba Walker. So right now in draft boards, he's like number 13. Cole Anthony. And then you have a lot of and of course, because it was 2020 and the virus and everything, there was no March Madness. So because there's no March Madness, we did not see them play in the off season, and we did not see the college players play in the postseason. So a lot of players we did not really get to see as much play. A lot of teams need a tall center today. Even the best teams like the Clippers, Bulls, Warriors, a lot more. I agree with that for sure. The best shooter of the three was LiAngelo, but he got... Yeah, so LiAngelo Ball was like the best shooter of the Ball brothers. That is very true. LiAngelo Ball was the best scorer and probably the best shooter, and then Lonzo Ball was the best passer, and LaMelo Ball was a little bit a combination of both. As he could kind of like pass and score at the same time. Who would you pick number 1 overall? Who would I pick number 1 overall? I do not know enough information about I do not have enough information about Anthony Edwards to see how good he is. But if I'm Minnesota Timberwolves, I would draft LaMelo Ball. The reason is because of business. I think that you will make a lot more money with LaMelo Ball drafting him, and you get a lot more media attention. So that's why I would draft LaMelo Ball. And remember, the Minnesota Timberwolves are a small market team. I think they need more media attention on them. If you draft LaMelo Ball, you will get a lot more media attention. Zion Williamson with a dunk. So that's why I think I'll draft LaMelo Ball and try to play him with D'Angelo Russell. And I think that's still a good team. And then you have Karl-Anthony Towns, Cat Towns. I still think that's a really good team. And you get a lot more media attention, in my opinion. And plus, LaMelo is taller than Anthony Edwards. Now, the fear, of course, is that LaMelo Ball is actually overrated. If he's an overrated player. And then Anthony Edwards is a lot better than him. So that's the fear. Because in this draft, I think we are all trying to see where LaMelo Ball is going to be. Even if he's not the number 1 overall pick. A lot of the media is going to focus on LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball is a ball hog. I don't need that. I need a player like James Wiseman and Cole Anthony. I remember you said you were 5'9". So if you were in the NBA, do you think you'd be better than Isaiah Thomas? And yes, I am 5'9", and no, I do not think I'm better than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is probably one of the best athletes in the world at his height. So it's very few people that will actually make it to the NBA at 5'9". So Isaiah Thomas, he's an amazing athlete, and he could even dunk a little bit. As he had dunked in college, I don't think he has officially dunked in the NBA. And at one time, an All-Star game, he tried to dunk, but he missed the dunk. But at the University of Washington Huskies, he was an amazing player, and he was drafted. Wasn't he drafted like 60? Last pick in the draft. So he has amazing stories. So I will not be better than Isaiah Thomas. And it's very rare that anybody's like 5 feet tall, 5'9", 5 feet tall that make it to the NBA. It's very rare. Also, he was trained by Nate Robinson. And some people do not know this. And Nate Robinson is from the area. And he also played for the University of Washington Huskies. So Nate Robinson, who's won multiple slam dunk contests, he trained Isaiah Thomas. They're best friends from what I've seen. So no, that Isaiah Thomas, he was an incredible athlete. And when he was in Boston, that was an inspirational story for sure. He was an amazing player. It's a little bit slow to say you'd be better than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah, though, he was incredible, though. Incredible player. And you can say the same thing with Muggsy Bogues. He's 5'3", and a lot of guys are actually taller than normal people are taller than Muggsy, but Muggsy, if you make it to the NBA with only 5'3", that means you are an incredible athlete. Thomas plays for Houston Rockets. 5'8", dunked on a center in the regular. That's awesome that he dunked on a center. The truth is that most people have never dunked before. Most normal people have never dunked before. Girls and guys. Most people have not before. So, it's very rare that anybody that's at 5 feet could dunk. But you have to know how to jump really well. I know there's people that are not NBA. They're kind of street ballers. They have dunked. I'm gonna autoplay it. It's very slow, and it looks like it's gonna log me off. Yeah, I had only dunked on a 7 feet rim. The stats. Speaking of the NBA draft, who do you focus on? What player, for example, the stats, the hype? I'll probably focus 10 yesterday. I'm only 5 feet. I'm only 5'9". I'm gonna try to log back into the game. Yeah, I think my live stream went offline, but I don't know why. But it didn't even say that. But checking it, it says it went offline. But it looks like I could see it again. So I'm quite curious what happened. I'm gonna try to log back into the game. So anybody that's 5 feet or something like that, I also want to say, WNBA players, their heights, it's more like average people and their height. And thank you, InfoSpot 411. Thank you, InfoSpot 411. You have a great night. I appreciate that. I'm 5'3", and I'll dunk on a 7'5" rim. I would say that's impressive. And that is impressive, yeah. I dunked on a 9 to 5 2 weeks ago. Try to log back into the game. Yeah, it is impressive you could dunk on any rim. But anyways, I was gonna say WNBA players, because they're women and everything, but they actually are very normal height of average people. Average people are around like, I would say less than around 6 feet and 5 feet. That's like the average height, and most WNBA players, you rarely see them dunk, and even when they dunk, it's kind of like kind of average, normal dunk. So I would say most normal people have never dunked before, and it's really rare you see anybody dunk. And then even if they dunk, it's pretty boring looking. So I definitely think that these professional athletes in the NBA, they have ridiculous bodies and very talented players. So anybody that's made it to the NBA that's under 6 feet, like JJ Barea, he's an incredible athlete. Like Isaiah Thomas, like Muggsy Bogues, Spud Webb. I do underestimate how incredible their bodies are. I think I saw a video of, I believe, is it Muggsy Bogues? He's older now. Or it could have been Spud Webb. But those players, they are so old now they can't dunk anymore. They're around 40, 50 years old, but they can no longer dunk. I don't even think Muggsy has ever dunked, but I assume that he probably has dunked before. According to most people in my height, when I grow up, won't exceed. And DTW the baller, there are some women that have in the WNBA that have dunked, like Candace Parker, like Liz Cambridge, and Lisa Leslie. And they have dunked before. Now, it's rare that women will dunk in basketball. But the WNBA players, who also have incredible bodies themselves because they're professional athletes, they have dunked before. Now, normal people, normal women, normal men even, it's rare for them to dunk. I think that the oldest person that has played in the NBA is 92 years old, Bob Cousy. You're saying still alive, right? Bob Cousy, I believe, is still alive. Yeah, if you're talking about who's still alive, he's probably Bob Cousy. If you're talking about who the oldest player ever to play in the NBA, I think it's Kevin Willis. And I believe he played in the NBA at like 43 years old or something like that. 42, 43 years old. Muggsy could dunk because of his... because he was very crazy for his height. I've actually never seen Muggsy Bogues dunk. So I don't know if there's any clips of him on YouTube, but I've never actually seen him dunk. And maybe he's dunked on practice or something like that. But I've never seen him actually dunk in an NBA game. So I'll try to check it out if you've seen him dunk. I've never seen Muggsy Bogues dunk before. And I have never seen Isaiah Thomas dunk in the NBA. 5'9", Boston Celtic Isaiah Thomas. Spud Webb, of course, has won dunk contest. So Spud Webb has dunked. I've also never seen JJ Barea dunk. Now, Chris Clemens, he plays for the Houston Rockets, right? I remember they have a card for him on the season 3, end of last season. But how's he playing? Is he playing a lot? Because I don't really see him playing as much. How's he doing? I think he was undrafted too. I'm not sure. Bob Cousy is still alive. Yes, he's still alive. Vince Carter. Yeah, Vince Carter just retired. It's crazy that Vince Carter has played in the NBA for 4 decades. Not 40 years, but 4 different decades and 2 different centuries. Yes, Vince Carter. That's his record that he holds. Now, he's played in the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and technically this year he played in 2020s. I'm shooting my free throws so it doesn't look like DeAndre Jordan left alone. Yeah, practice your free throws. Short players don't dunk that often because it's not very effective. Yes, of course. Yeah, that's rare for. Yeah, definitely. That's why a lot of shorter players they'll shoot threes and they'll shoot more. But yeah, that's true. That you don't need to dunk. A 3-point shot is 3 points, right? That's more effective than, let's say, a dunk. But in the NBA, the highlights they will often show people dunking. And as you see with those other players, you don't need to dunk even to be in the NBA. As you see with those shorter players, a lot of them haven't even dunked yet. So it's not required or anything like that. But when you see those short players dunk like Spud Webb, it's actually very amazing to see them dunk. And it's very fun to watch. It's also very fun to watch big men dunk for some reason. Big men like Dwight Howard, because they're so tall. It's also very fun to see. Zion Williamson would have done. So this Zion, he has have dunk animations. People say it's better if a guard was in a center's body. But in 2017, we saw a center in a guard's body, Russell Westbrook. All the players in the NBA, all of the players in the NBA could dunk, bro. Russell Westbrook. Well, speaking of Russell Westbrook, the Houston Rockets small ball lineup. Russell Westbrook, Jay Williams from ESPN. He compared Russell Westbrook's playing like the Clint Capella. So he had most in the paint shots of any Houston Rocket player. And even though he's playing point guard, that was a very interesting statistic. I'm sure a lot of the players that are even around 5 feet, 11 and stuff like that. I bet a lot of the players could dunk, but I have not seen every player in the NBA at their height. I have not seen them dunk in the NBA game before. So maybe they could dunk in practice, but I've yet to see him dunk in the NBA. So like I said, Isaiah Thomas, 5'9". I haven't seen him dunk in the NBA. I have seen him dunk at the college though. University of Washington Huskies, I've seen him dunk. Ja Morant blocks Ja Morant. And yes, that's very true. Rebounder. Now, Anthony Davis, I believe his story is that when he was younger, he was a point guard. He was shorter, but then he grew taller. It took him a long time to grow, but eventually he had a height spurt and he grew really tall. So, because of that, I don't know, but because of that, I guess he could play point guard basically, Anthony Davis. But that's what they say. So you could argue he's like a point guard in a center's body or a power forward's body, although he doesn't play point guard. And of course, Nikola Jokic, he's a great passer. So no surprise there that he's a great player. And Giannis is also a great passer. How do we change conversation so quickly? We are just talking about the draft 2020 and then the WNBA. Now we're talking about players dunking. Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, we just randomly have conversations, but that's the cool part about it. The best players usually don't do anything flashy. Anthony Davis is sort of overrated. Chris Smolin misses that shot. I would say though that Anthony Davis is kind of what I expect of him. Um, you could, I would like to see him more aggressive. More aggressive, I think. I don't think he's that dominant. I would not say he's overrated, but I think he's exactly what I expect of him. Now, I remember the Lakers lost in Game 1 against the Houston Rockets a couple of weeks ago. And then the next game, Anthony Davis, like Game 2, they gave him the ball more. But I felt like he shoots too much, kind of close to the basket shots, in the paint shots, but he's very, he shoots too much, in my opinion, from what I've seen. And I think that he should try to attack the basket a little bit more. He kind of settles too much for, short jumpers. That's just what I've seen of him. And then I think he should dunk the ball more. Attack the basket and dunk the ball more. He should dominate more. I think he's very passive. That's my opinion of him. I would like to see Anthony Davis more aggressive. as a player. Sort of like Shaquille O'Neal back then. Very aggressive player. Give him the ball and he dunks. So I like to see him dominate more. That'll actually help LeBron James more, in my opinion. Because a lot of people were telling PJ Tucker's 6'5", and Robert Covington's like 6'7". So people were saying, like, Charles Barkley was saying you should punish them. Punish those players, for the short players, because of the small ball lineup. And I did not see enough punishment. I see Anthony Davis kind of settle for a lot of jumpers. He's not dunking the ball enough, in my opinion. So I'm not exactly sure why that is. It might be because that's just the way, and the NBA is like that now. I see more of that from Nikola Jokic, Yusuf Nurkic. But they settle a little bit too much for like a post shot. I rather they attack the basket a little bit more aggressively. That's just my opinion. I think yes, I definitely think that Anthony Davis should try to dunk on more people. I think the Nuggets will win the 2020 chip because of superstar power and Nikola Jokic, offensive bag, and Jamal Murray, a young core, aka Bobo, Michael Porter Jr. defense, and Jeremiah Grant and veterans, plus great team chemistry. That's certainly a possibility, as there's 4 teams left, and they have a lot of talent. But I still have to pick the LA Lakers, though. Until they could defeat the LA Lakers, you have to defeat LeBron James. So it'll be interesting to see if they could do it. They've never won a championship, and the Denver Nuggets have never won a championship. So we will see if they could do it or not. Paul Millsap got the team on his back like he does every year. Yeah, Paul Millsap, a great player. Definitely a great player. He's probably quite underrated in many aspects. I believe Paul Millsap is quite old now. I think he's around 35 years old as well. He's a very consistent player. But it's going to be tough to defeat the Lakers. Even Rajon Rondo was actually playing really well again in the Houston series. So it's going to be tough to defeat him. And I fear, of course, that I think that the Lakers, it's going to be very easy for them to win a championship this year. So it's going to be very boring, in my opinion. Because I don't think the Miami Heat can defeat them. Now, they also have something to play for. And that is Kobe Bryant passed away. So a lot of people will also root for them. Because they're playing for Kobe Bryant. Now, if it's the mighty Lakers against the Miami Heat, I don't know, that team is like a underdog team, the Miami Heat. Not their franchise, but the team. I think a lot of people will still root for the Miami Heat, as people like to see the Lakers and the Boston Celtics and stuff lose, because they have a ridiculous amount of championships. Nuggets 2020 championship. That would be pretty awesome to see the Denver Nuggets win the championship in 2020. I love it when newer teams, different teams win. I do not like the same old teams winning all the time. I'm sick of the same franchises always winning. So I was very happy when the Toronto Raptors won last year. Very happy to see that. Rajon Rondo is literally the modern Magic Johnson. That's a nice comparison to Magic Johnson. Rajon Rondo. But I would say that Magic Johnson, people say he's a bad shooter, but he could score. He could score. I know it's for Kobe, but I also root for the Nuggets as a Nets fan. Yes, I also root for the Nuggets as well. The underdog team. And out of the four teams, in terms of franchise, they're the one team that has not won the championship. And same thing with the Clippers. They also did not win the championship, have never won the championship. They never even made it to the Western Conference Finals. So if you are a fan of basketball, you should definitely root for the smaller teams, the small market teams. Just like the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers, whenever they play, I root for them because they've never won before. And that's quite sad. It's sad. That's not a good thing. And of course, Magic Johnson, he was taller than Rondo. I could see the comparison a little bit because of they're really good passers and team leaders as well. I would say though that the player that's very similar to Magic Johnson would be LeBron James, and then also another player that's similar to Magic Johnson would be Ben Simmons. I would say Ben Simmons. Now, but if you watch a lot of the highlights, Magic Johnson, he could score the basket. He could score the basket. He wasn't that terrible as people make it out to be. Not saying he's a great three-point shooter or anything, but Magic Johnson, he could score the basket. He wasn't that terrible. Just like LeBron James, people say he's a bad shooter, but he could shoot some threes. Like if you watch the game, he could score from the. He could shoot threes. It's not like he's a terrible shooter. Even Russell Westbrook, they say he's a horrible shooter, horrible 3-point shooter, but he can make sometimes 3-point shots. People, I think, sometimes exaggerate and say those things that they're terrible. I'm rooting for Nuggets because I'm trying to wait for time to pass. Go back to watching the 2020 Nets. I don't like any of the teams in the playoffs currently. I want to see the Grizzlies and the Magic. Yes, and you're a fan of Ja Morant, Memphis Grizzlies. Oh, DTWY the Baller, I wanted to ask you. So Ja Morant, coming into the 2019 NBA draft, is compared to Russell Westbrook. Now, Ja Morant and Russell Westbrook, they have great athleticism and they're both great at dunking the basketball and all that. But of course, if you're compared to Russell Westbrook, especially right now, when a lot of people are making fun of Westbrook, that he's a bad 3-point shooter. Ja Morant is probably a better 3-point shooter, but he's not the best 3-point shooter either. So he can improve his 3-point shooting. But is that something that you want to be compared to? If you're Ja Morant, do you want to be compared to Russell Westbrook? Also, if you're Memphis Grizzlies, do you want to build your team around the next Russell Westbrook? Because that's the player that everybody's comparing him to. Same thing with Trae Young. He's being compared to Steph Curry. So those are the players they're compared to. I mean, 2021 Nets. Ben Simmons is Magic Johnson 2.0. Yes, I would definitely say Ben Simmons is a lot like Magic Johnson. Not the best shooter, but pretty great passer. Yeah, I was going to say what I was going to say is, of course, that if I've seen Ja Morant play. He's really good. But if you're compared to Russell Westbrook, especially today, where people criticize Westbrook's game a lot, is that a good thing that he's being compared to Westbrook? Literally, Victory 8 stream is like Shaq versus Charles Barkley. Two of my favorite players. Yeah, he's better than Westbrook, not as strong, but he's a better shooter, and has a bigger vertical, and has proven he can be a playmaker. That's some good observation. And I also think because Ja Morant is younger, that he will improve his 3-point shooting. Because, again, a lot of the coaches now will teach you to shoot threes, so he'll improve. While Westbrook, when he was in the NBA, they did not shoot as many threes yet. So, and Westbrook is now 31 years old, so he's older. He's not going to improve too much, but Ja Morant will improve his game. So, he might eventually even be better than Russell Westbrook as a player. So we will see. On TV, not on the court. Anyways, I love Charles Barkley and Shaq. So I appreciate the comparisons. Those are two very great players, and they're very, very funny guys. So we'll see. And of course, Trae Young gets compared to Curry a lot. So we will see how good he is. Will he live up to the hype? So far, Trae Young's been pretty good. But the Atlanta Hawks are not winning yet. But we will see how much they could win. I would definitely say, though, that Atlanta Hawks, though, they made a mistake in trading Luka Doncic for Trae Young. I say it's a mistake still, even though Trae Young has played pretty well. Westbrook came in the league in an evolving point. And yes, that's a good point as well. Westbrook. As you see, a lot of players now shoot threes. They did not shoot threes back then. And like Marc Gasol, Brook Lopez, they have now shot a lot of more threes. And back then, if you look at their stats, they did not shoot any threes. Injury-prone superstar or healthy role player. Injury-prone superstar or healthy role player. That's hard to say, but that's a great question. I would say healthy role player. Because the healthy role player will end up playing in more games. So, like, let's just say someone like Eric Gordon. He's a role player for the Houston Rockets. I'd rather have him than, let's say, an injury-prone Joel Embiid. Trae Young is like D'Angelo Russell. Interesting comparison. And why do you compare those two players? Is D'Angelo Russell bad at defense? Because I know Trae Young's bad at defense. Is D'Angelo Russell really bad at defense? Now, D'Angelo Russell, when he came into the NBA, he was compared to James Harden. Because he was also kind of like a shooting guard a taller point guard, but was also a great passer. Speaking of the Westbrook 2012 Thunder, we thought would win the 2 championships if GM. If they stayed together, but then James Harden would have been a sixth man, not MVP. Injury-prone superstars like Gordon Hayward. Yes, if James Harden stays on the 2012, if he stays for Oklahoma City Thunder, then James Harden would probably be like best comparison would be Manu Ginobili. I do think he would be like Manu Ginobili, so he would not be MVP of the NBA, or he would not make that many All-Star teams. So he'd be like Manu Ginobili, in my opinion. But they'll win the championships. I do think that would happen. So breaking up the 2012 Oklahoma City team, good or bad? At the end of the day, I have to say that was a bad choice to trade away James Harden. But they did it because I believe they're a small market team. So they wanted to afford, they had to pay for Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka, their power forward. So they had to give him money. I forget back then if it was called a max deal or not. So they had to pay for Serge Ibaka. So they decided to trade away James Harden. Now, sometimes there's players like a good example of Tracy McGrady when he's on the Toronto Raptors. When he's on Toronto Raptors, he's like in the shadow of Vince Carter. So, once he leaves Toronto and plays for Orlando Magic, Tracy McGrady is really good and dominates the NBA. But the point is, if he doesn't land on the new team, he probably isn't as great as he is. So sometimes it's just the new team is what makes him great. So 5% might fall on the way to the 1%. A healthy role player would be Gordon Dragic. Mr. Logic, hello, thank you for coming. D'Angelo Russell is a good defender, but he's an all-around player, to be honest. But Trae Young is as good of a shooter as D'Angelo Russell. Oh, that's a good point. And if Trae Young is as good of a shooter as D'Angelo Russell, I believe D'Angelo Russell is a pretty good shooter. Not as good as Curry, of course. But if you say he's as good as D'Angelo Russell, I think that's pretty good, right? As D'Angelo Russell was an all-star like a season ago. So yeah, I say breaking up OKC was not a good idea, but I understand why they broke up. Now, would they have won the championship? Would they have won the championship if they didn't break up? They probably would have. But it's hard to say, It's hard to say. Breaking up 2012 Thunder is like if you wanted to break up the 1999 San Antonio Spurs, you have to bring this back. Yeah, so let's say Manu Ginobili, he wants his own team. Then you trade away Manu Ginobili. And if you take away Manu Ginobili off the Spurs, then I don't think the San Antonio Spurs, they'll still be a great team with Tony Parker and Tim Duncan, but they're missing that Manu Ginobili. So maybe they don't win as many championships, if you know what I mean. So sometimes you take away those players. Now, there is one player that kind of makes the All-Star teams, but has not won MVP, and that is Klay Thompson. He's a very low-key player. So, in that scenario, let's say James Harden is like Klay Thompson. He wins those championships, but he's like just an all-star and stuff like that. Now, Klay Thompson, if he had his own team, if he was on the Houston Rockets, if you traded James Harden for Klay Thompson would probably be MVP like once or twice, just like James Harden. He would have all the individual accomplishments, but he would have no championship, just like James Harden has no championship. That's what I think. We have to bring in Jose Calderon or Jimmy Butler. You really like Jose Calderon. This case, I have to pick Jimmy Butler because he's playing really well right now, and he has made multiple All-Star teams. So I'd pick Jimmy Butler. Jose Calderon, though, underrated player. He was a great player. One time almost made the All-Star team. And I think my live stream is almost done. I just want to say thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, everybody. The Rebounder, Mr. Logic, DTW, the Baller. Thank you for coming. And anybody is still here, thank you for coming. Info Swap 411, DTW, the Baller, the Rebounder. Thank you for coming. And my live stream is almost about to end. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for coming.